Well, what do you got?
It's time for your questions and some honest answers. Okay, this is Jill who says, I've been a Christian for 26 years. I'm dealing with a lot of stress in my life, and I feel like I need an alcoholic drink every day at the end of the day to get through the next day. This is definitely a conviction, and I just cannot seem to get past it. Please help me understand why I feel I need this stress release.
Well, I think a lot of people that do, and they're, you know, the amount of Zoloft and Paxils and stress relievers is huge in this country. Here's the deal, you know, you don't really need a shot of booze to get yourself together. You can go out and take a walk, and you can feel better when you get through. There are a lot of ways to relieve your stress without going for alcohol. And you are bordering on alcoholism when you start saying, I've got to have a drink at night. Whenever you have to have, if it's a nice glass of wine and so forth with dinner, I mean, hey, that's a nice social occasion. But what you're saying is, I am on a borderline of being an alcoholic. Stop it. Mm-hmm. Go take a walk. Yeah. You'll relieve just as much stress, and you'll feel a whole lot better.
And you know, Lori, our medical reporter, recently did that report on the fact that even a little bit of alcohol has been shown now to be involved in cancer in some people. Yeah, so caution.
It's very important. All right, put on.
Okay, this is John who says, my stepmother sexually abused me when I was a child. I never told my dad about it until I was almost 40 years old. Every church I have gone to has told me that this never would have happened had my dad taken responsibility. How could he have when I didn't have the courage to tell him until decades after it happened? Not to mention that he was providing for the family as God commands a man to do. If a man is solely responsible for what a wife does, then won't my former stepmother get off scot-free on Judgment Day?
I don't know about Judgment Day, but I mean, how is your father supposed to know? I mean, you know, your stepmother said, well, he's a sweet little boy, and the little boy says, well, I love my mother and stepmother. Yes, a father should step in and help. I mean, you know, you shouldn't allow a spouse to molest your child. I mean, that is terrible. And so I don't know about Judgment Day. I mean, the woman has...
Well, also in here, he says if a man is solely responsible for what a wife does, I mean, they're two grown adults.
Well, he's not solely responsible, but he's responsible for his children, and he's brought this woman into the family mix, and the woman is a pedophile. I mean, you know, he shouldn't have done it, all right?
Okay, this is Sheila who says, I've been recently unemployed from my job. While at home, I began watching the 700 Club regularly. After very deep thought, I decided to tithe what little I have and give to the Lord. After the first donation, I received great blessings I could not explain other than blessings from the Lord. I began to increase the amount I was giving, and still more blessings came my way. I now find myself happily giving and can't wait to see how the Lord will bless me next. The question is this wrong? Am I being selfish because I'm giving to see what blessings the Lord will give me next?
I think that their development department wrote that for you. Of course.
Well, they didn't sign it. I don't know.
You know, if it was selfish, Jesus wouldn't have said, he said, give and it'll be given unto you. I mean, it's in the Bible. It's an incentive to give. Pressed down, running over, good measure will men heap into your bosom. Give and it'll be given unto you. If that was a bad emotion, then Jesus wouldn't have put it in the Bible. It's in there. So let's rejoice in what God's doing for you. Okay.
This is Christina, who says, my 15-year-old son was killed January 26, 2017. My question for you is, why does our Father allow us to go through this pain and torment? As a mom, I do everything in my power to protect my kids from this. What is the point? I'm confused and angry. Please help me understand. I've been faithful to the Lord alone, so why?
Listen, God looks upon your faithfulness. I was reading today about Peter. And Jesus said to Peter, Peter, when you're young, you used to dress yourself and go where you want to. When you get old, others are going to dress you and take you where you don't want to go, signifying the death he was going to act as a martyr. These things happen. We live in a world of wickedness, and God does not necessarily spare us from these things. He will teach us once we're in the difficult situation. He will help us to overcome it, but not necessarily will he spare everybody from it. You say, why does my Father allow this to happen? The loss of a child is a terrible grief. But, you know, the thing about that child at 15, maybe he was, you know, living for the Lord at 15. I don't know anything about him, but I'm presuming he was. So what would have happened maybe 10 years from now? Would he have started drinking? Would he have gone away from the Lord? What would have happened? So God, who sees the end from the beginning, knows what would happen to that child. And because he loves the child and loves him, he wants to bring him to heaven forever. And he wants to spare him some of the bad things that would happen down the road. I'm just speculating, but I mean, God's in charge of everything. And believe me, he is not some big super daddy who will spare all of us from pain. We're all going to have pain. Through much persecution, we enter into the kingdom of God. Through much pressure, we enter into the kingdom of God. And there's not one of us that hadn't experienced some kind of tragedy and pressure in our life. That's part of living. So don't ask, why did he let this happen? Because it happens to everybody.